second anniversary, brand new players, brand new video, and this time I'll be showing you what I would do if I was a new player, how to start in Watcher of Realms this year, and the best thing you should focus on early on, both summoning and progression related. So let's jump into the video. You guys will be seeing below, down in the timeline, the different part of the videos, just in case you guys want to jump to some spot or the other. So, farming. What do you need to know when you have just started? Well, the most important thing and what you should focus on early on is campaign. You will get a lot of resources just farming it and getting some summons, some gems, some divines, even some ancients. It's pretty good content. Now, you have to keep in mind that these chapters, the chapter 9 part 2 and 10, were added later into the game. So these are actually really endgame content. But all you gotta do is focus on campaign until you cannot do it anymore. Then, I know this might sound weird, but try to avoid farming both gold rate and XP rates as much as you can. I'm not saying that you should never farm them. Well, gold rate, I would argue that you should never farm it, but try to just avoid farming XP rate as much as you can. If you need to level up a champ to level 60, go for it and farm it. However, it's not something you should be farming most of the time, because what you get back is not worth it compared to the energy you're spending. And once you are mid game to late game, you will get most of your XP potions just by farming G rates or by doing events. So in the end, you will be wasting most of your energy. Just try to focus on leveling up your first few champs, which mainly the best epics in the game are Iona, Idril, and some more. Those are the key champs that will help you progress. But yeah, try to avoid farming XP rate as much as possible, and G rate is pretty much useless. Once you have played long enough, gold becomes irrelevant, so you will actually regret farming gold rate. Now, as far as G rates, which G rate should you focus on? Well, Gear Dungeon is not endgame content, but it's something that you will progress after you have done enough G rates. So this is something you will do later in the game. You have to focus on G rates. G rates is where you get all the gear, as the name says, for your champs. The most important ones, G rate 3 and G rate 1. We have the Forge in this game. Forge allows you to get some sets that you cannot see right here. The best sets on the left side are from Forge. Now, you will not have enough Forge materials or enough forging artifacts early on in the game. So what you should focus on is progress G rate 3 as much as you can. The first big jump being stage 13, when you start getting some mythic gear and some ancient. This is where you start progressing quite harder. Then G rate 1, pretty important if you need warlord and tanky sets on the left side, and G rate 2 is just not as relevant. Early on, you pretty much just need some invigoration sets, but if you are too early into the game, don't worry too much, because G rate 2 becomes easier once you get Volca A1, and Volca A1 is obtained through Tide, so it's not something you have to really focus on. Now, other part of the farming is artifact material race. Should you do them early on? Well, they help, but you will get quite a lot of artifacts from doing Void Rift. Void Rift is a weekly content that gives you a lot of crafting materials. You should still farm artifact material rates for main artifacts like Tear of Twilight, or what's the name? The one for Marksman. Let me show you guys right now. Or Spirit Siphon, or Blight Color's Claw. Those are pretty much super important early on. But early on, what you can do is run this artifact on most of your champ. This will allow your champs to do way more damage, and even though it's epic, it's one of the best artifacts in the game, at least to progress. So, what else do we have? Faction Trials, Tithe, and Codex. These are just not progression content, okay? What do I mean by not progression? You're not farming gear, you're just farming other stuff. For example, Tithe will allow you to get Volca Soulstones. That's what Tithe is important for. Then we have Faction Trials to get all these insignias. These insignias are used in the Pantheon. The Pantheon is this dragon right here that allows you to boost the stats of every champ in the game. So it's something you have to do daily. You can do the faction trials once per day. It's really important that you do them daily and never skip one day. I mean, if you have to or whatever, you can skip, but if you have to skip one, skip the basic trial, because the shelter insignia for Rage Region are the most common one and the one you will have a lot from. Then Immortal Codex, early on you have to focus just on farming the highest score you can. It's not super important, or don't get stressed trying to push SSS if you're early on. And even more important, don't ignore this content. What do I mean by this? Maybe you're frustrated and you say, oh, I don't have any of the meta units. Don't worry, just try to do it. The rewards are progressive. You get a lot of rewards just on the early stages. Even if you can just get one basic attack on the boss, you will get rewards. And then you can go into the redeem shop and buy some of the most important things in the game. Gear recasting hammers and ancients. Now, from an endgame perspective, if you're a spender, which is more important to decide, if you're a spender, gear recasting hammers are a better investment because you cannot buy them from the shop and they allow you to change how the substats have role in your gear. But if you're free to play, just feel free to gamble some ancients. You only get 10 a month. It's not a lot, but in the end you're here to have fun, not to min-max everything, even more if you're free to play. But yeah, Immortal Codex, super important. Now, next part of the video, and the one I know a lot of you guys want to hear about, summoning. Where do you need to summon early on? Well, we have three types of summons in the game. Ancient summoning, blue summonings, or whatever you want to call it, rare, blue, and divines, the golden ones. Now, ancient banners are a different type of banners. We don't have them every week, and they are kind of exclusive. You get some limited champs out of them, mainly chaos and arbiter units. And then the exclusive lords for every faction. Here we have Cyrus, Iobar, Soul Cadence, Demi, Rygar, Elder, Ingrid, and Gambalderon and Praetus. Those are the exclusive lords. Then you have the exclusive name from Ancients being Emirate. Then most of the champs here, except quite a few like Valkyria and Cerberus, are Ancient exclusive as well. So those are the most expensive summons, and you don't really have to, let's say, focus on them or saving them early on. You just have to wait until we get a good banner for them. Because, for example, right now we have the Ingrid Valara banner, which is amazing, but this weekend we will have just a non-rate up banner. You just can pull your summons, but there is no rate up. So unless you're a huge whale, never spend on this kind of banners and always try to hold them for a few months, because ancients are really expensive. They are really hard to come by if you are free to play. So you gotta be wise spending them. This is super important in Leon because you will most likely get 50 to 80 a month, so not much. Then we have blues and divines. They're pretty much the same. Divines are rare. They have a 6% drop rate for legendary champs. But let's put them in a pack, because in the end it's the same banner. Early on, you should mainly, and this is pretty, let's say, not like 100%, okay? You should mainly focus on 2x banners, because you want to increase your pool of legendary units. However, we now have anniversary, and it's, I wouldn't say it's not confirmed, okay? We might get some 2x 15 times banners, 2x 20 times now, where both rate ups are live. So you will have 2 times the chance of getting a Lego, would be 1% or 12% for divines, and then 20% on rate up units. Those banners are really good. Now, early on you shouldn't really focus on banners like Nascent that guarantee you an unowned legendary. Why? Because you will be missing most of the units, so this is not worth it. You want to just increase your pool of champs. Having more alternative, having more option, that's all early game and mid game is about. Just increasing the pool of champs that you have. That's why what I recommend early on is focus on 2-time banners, unless you know or you listen from some of your CCs that a huge banner is coming for blue summons or divines, because we have some key units like, I don't know, Elowing, maybe even Hatsuit, that are super important to have on every account, so you might just consider pulling in them in those banners even though they are not 2 times. That's something to keep track on. And one really important thing that I cannot emphasize enough, do every single event, with the exception of Corridor of Glory up to 20k points. They are super easy to do, even early on. Last rewards might be a bit harder, but you should really be focusing on doing them. They are really important, they are really easy. This game is pretty generous with the rewards. You shouldn't worry too much about not finishing fusion, not finishing stuff, because they will give you a lot of rewards. This is not like raid, like other gachas where content is actually, I mean not content, events are actually hard to complete. Here you can treat events as extra rewards. You shouldn't really focus on just ignoring them and do G-raids. Like, if you can win some oracles and get some summons yourself, go do it. If you can just finish some events, same. That's the most important thing that you should worry about. So yeah, pretty much it. One thing I forgot about here, unlock the full shop. Really important, you want to unlock the full shop just in case you get energy or you get some potions like this, stamina potion. Unlock the shop. Here, from the guild shop, focus on buying legendary skill crystal. You will need them. If you have spare coins, go for ancients. Then on arena shop, pretty much buy this daily. And if you can, buy this. However, early game, arena is pretty hard. Then we have the apex shop, which is pretty much irrelevant early on because you just want to get Lady Alex. Don't spend coins here, here, or here. Here, the Apex Crystal is actually nice, but don't spend it on summons. They're super expensive and not worth it. And finally, we have the Awakening shop. Here, you just gotta buy the Legendary Skill Crystal with epic coins. That's the main thing you have to buy. And then, if you can, just buy the huge stamina, the Master Keys, and pretty much it. So yeah guys, for anybody starting, this is what you should really focus on, what you should really spend your resources on and your time. And any question, just let me know in the comments below. I know it might be a long video, it's pretty hard to explain everything in such a short time, but yeah, this is it. Any question, as said, let me know and I'll see you in another one. Bye.